SayItInACard.com is an online greeting card company that delivers right to your front door. Visit our website, www.sayItInACard.com. You can read the cards, order the cards, and we ship them directly to you. If you feel it, we say it in a card. We have breakup cards, troubled relationship cards, troubled friendship cards, and of course all of the traditional cards as well, from birthday to Mother's Day. So again, visit us at www.sayItInACard.com. Free shipping for a limited time. I was involved briefly with a married man who believed he had the courage to leave his wife to be with me and to live his truth. This isn't the typical story of a married man promising to leave his wife for a secret lover. Rather, this is a story in part about a gay man who knew he was gay before he got married, but chose to marry a woman because he didn't know how to break free. Rocky and I met on a gay social media site 3 months after I returned to the East Coast to live, and just 11 months after he was married. At the time we met, he was living and working in Dubai as a contractor for the government on a military base, while his wife was stationed in Tallahassee, Florida. Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart, and this is So Much to Say YouTube TV. These are my thoughts in my voice on black shit, white shit, gay shit, and everything in between. So Much to Say YouTube TV is the place that you come to learn and grow, because we discuss socially relevant things mixed with a splash of humor. If you know you have tissue paper feelings, this probably isn't the channel for you. But and however, since you're here, I just need for you to do two things. Hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and turn on that little bell so that you get the notification every single time that I go live or upload something new. I'll see you soon. Bye. Good morning. Good morning, niece. Happy Friday. Hey, girl, hey. Hey, boy, hey. How y'all doing? It is $5 Friday, and I'm going to do this off the top of my head. I can't remember everybody. I don't have my second phone. I left my, the phone that I use to stream with you guys. This is actually my talking phone, but I left my phone in Carlton's car, and I stayed over at 227 last night. So I can't look at the Cash App to get my thank you. Normally I can look at the other phone. But anyway, I'm just going to try to do it off the top of my head. Kimberly Dooley, Marcellus, thank you very much for the Cash App, for the thoughtful Cash App. Jose Roble for the thoughtful Cash App. I think Datis was in there. It was a few more in there. I can't remember everybody. Thank you very much, Portia Blair. But I definitely will thank you later when I get to that phone. But I do appreciate you. Powerful. Thank you, Powerful. I really, really appreciate you guys. I wanted to come on here this morning because I have some things that I want to share. I want to say this. Every single time that I come on this live to speak to you guys, yes. Oh, good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart, and this is a YouTube live version of So Much to Say. These are my thoughts in my voice on black shit, white shit, gay shit, and everything in between. Every single time that I go live, I want you guys to know that I'm trying to think of some way to be thoughtful, considerate, helpful, inspiring, even when we laugh and joke and cut up and, because we don't always say things that are inspiring, but hopefully, there are times that it takes you away from whatever it is that's going on in your life. It's an escape, a healthy escape, a positive escape. But with that being said, I want to share something, and I've shared this with you guys before, but I know there are always new subscribers. There are always new people that are coming in. Oh, I need to put this GPS on because I sure don't know my way this way. But there are always new people coming in. And so I want to share this story because I know there are people who may not have heard it. But I'm going to put a little yeast in it. Not really yeast like embellishment, but yeast in the sense of I'm going to refresh the story so it doesn't sound the same to those of you that have heard it. But I want you guys to know that it was just A handful of years ago, just a handful of years ago, I can reach back just a handful of years ago when my life was upside down, personally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, for sure. And I'm saying this to you because I don't know where you are in your life. I don't know where you are in your space. This video is called Set Your Intention. And I call this Set Your Intention for a reason. And even though we laugh and we cut up and we play around over here, there are times that I really am very serious with you guys. And I try to share with you the biggest life lessons that I've learned, the things that have been helpful for me. And hopefully you can apply some of those things to your life and it will shift your life. You'll start to see and feel the shift in your life. And so when I'm coming on here, I'm trying to share things that you can adopt and you can shift in your life. Thank you, Crystal Cephas. And I'm also, through my work, whether it's through any of the books, especially Book of Jewels. Book of Jewels is by far my best work. It's my best work. Now, I can't say to you that I don't love the other books because I love all of the books. But as in terms of my best work, my best writing, and my progression as a writer, and just being able to master the English language and really communicate what I wanted to communicate to you guys, it is Book of Jewels. I don't care where you are in your life, whatever relationship it is that needs repair, whether it's a family relationship, a platonic relationship, a romantic relationship, a work relationship. I really believe those 11 chapters in Book of Jewels truly, truly, truly are my biggest life lessons that I've learned. And I share the stories with how I got to those lessons. And so that is my best work. When I sat down to write Book of Jewels, just like I did with all of the other books, I always prayed and I always asked God, how can I be used? Use my words to lift, use my words to reach, to teach, and to heal. Those are my words when I pray. Even when we're talking about gay like me conversations, and whenever I sit down, my intention is to reach you and to inspire you and to change you and to grow you. Even if you are a person that was homophobic or a person that was struggling with your homosexuality, my intention is to shift the way that you think. Is not to change, not to get you to adopt what I think, but to inspire you, to encourage you to think on a higher level for yourself, right? And so I'm saying all this to say, just a handful of years ago, I wasn't this confident in my gift, in my craft, right? As a writer. I've told you guys before that I had thought about giving up. I considered giving up. And I'm saying this, I know there are people watching me. You have entrepreneurial aspirations. You want to start your own business, whatever that is. You don't have to be a writer. You could be wanting to start a shoe store, a grocery store, whatever it is. I know you have aspirations. You could be trying to embark on higher education, but you don't have a clue where to start. My point in this entire video is to set your intentions, whether it's to um, write out a grateful journal, like I've been encouraged you guys to do, whether it's to write your vision board, which I every time I come through this same section, the shit goes out. But anyway, I paused because I was saying the purpose of creating your vision board is to set your intention, is to be able to see clearly what you want for your life, right? And there's really power. There really is power in making it plain by writing down what you want, where you see for yourself, what you see for yourself, whether it's a relationship, whether it's children, whether it's a college degree, whether it's a master's degree, whether it's owning your own business. You got to write that shit down. You got to make it plain. And not only do you just write it down, but take your time and look over it and add to it from time to time. There is no dream that is too big. I'm telling you, there's no dream that's too big. And my point in saying all of this is just a handful of years ago, niece, I wasn't this confident. And a friend of mine said to me years ago, this is when I lived in LA, she said, sometimes your confidence has to catch up with your talent. Sometimes your confidence has to catch up with your gift. So you may know that you're all of these things and what you're going to have and what your life, how your life is going to unfold, but your present day, your current situation may not show any of that. It may not even look like your present situation may look very bleak, very dark. Well, I'm here to tell you that anything can happen, and it can happen just like this. Because a handful of years ago, I was sleeping on people's couches, friends of mine. I was sleeping on some of my friends' couches because I had this dream to publish Words Never Spoken. I had this dream. That was it. I didn't have a publishing company that was backing me. I didn't have social media. I didn't have a social media following. I didn't even have the courage at that time to come on social media to push my dream. I didn't even have that. I would post about different things on my social media and stuff like that, but I was struggling. And I was staying with friends. I was a friend of mine let me use his car for a year because I couldn't afford to have my own car. I went home. I had to move back home, niece. I was 35, maybe 36. And I had to move back home to live with my parents. I had to live with my parents, niece. And I'm telling you this because I know some of you watching me right now from your childhood bedroom. And what I'm telling you is that's okay because, see, home can be good for you. Home can be good for you, niece. And see, before I moved back home, I thought home was going to be hard. See, I thought home was going to be hard. I thought that friends from back home and family members from back home were going to be like, oh, child, he done moved back home. He was gone all of them years. He done went to school, got a degree, moved to Atlanta for all those years, and now he done moved back home. He's staying with his parents. That don't make no sense. I was worried about all of that. Fuck them people, niece. They're going to have shit to say about you. Damn them people. You need to go home and recalibrate. If it means going back to your parents' house so that your family can love on you, to recenter you, then you need to do that. Sometimes the universe sets you back so that you can have a 20/20 view, so that you can have a bird's eye view of your life, so that you can say, you know what? So you can kind of see things. You can see the monopoly pieces to your life. But see, sometimes you can't see it when you're in it. I couldn't see it living here in Atlanta, so I had to step out of it. And stepping out of it meant going back home to Maryland. I was home for about a year and a half. I was living back home for a year and a half. And it was difficult because I was living under my parents' roof again. I mean, my parents are divorced, but I was staying between my dad's house and I go over to my mom's house, and I was using their cars because, remember, I told y'all the story. I told you guys the story not long ago, just a few weeks ago, how my car was repossessed when I was back home. Remember I told you I came downstairs one night and the tow truck was coming down and I jumped in the car and I pulled off, and I was able to keep the car for a few extra days. But eventually I had to let that car go because I had a dream. At that time, Words Never Spoken was out. Words Never Spoken was out at this time, and I was living back home. But see, God hadn't activated you all yet. God hadn't activated you all yet. He was still humbling me. God was still humbling me, is what I'm trying to tell you. I wasn't ready for this. All of this stuff, like when I come on this live, it is 300, 400, 500, 600 people watching. I wasn't ready for this a handful of years ago. See, God has to prune you. Sometimes he has to strip you of things. He had to take the car from me. He had to take a place of my own from me. He had to humble me. He had to send me down to that food stamp office. Amen, niece? Because see, sometimes you can get too big for your britches. Sometimes you can be too majestic like a tree. I was supposed to stop at the ATM so I could get some money for this man who's about to inspect this house. I say all this to say, niece, I'm about to close on the house that I wanted, niece. And I'm on my way to the house now so they can inspect it. But niece, I was supposed to stop at the ATM to get the money so this man can inspect the house. I got to pay this man. And I went all around because I'm sitting here talking to y'all. But it's okay. I'm a double back. But at any rate, my point is sometimes God has to prune you like a tree. Sometimes your limbs get too majestic.
You know how like a tree in the yard, it starts hanging all over the roof of the house and it starts getting all in the electrical wires and shit. You got to call in an arborist to cut them trees back. God is just like that for you. Sometimes you need to get cut back. You got to get a demotion at your job. You don't hear me. You're not hearing me. Sometimes God got to pull you back because see, you forgot who all of the blessings come through. Amen. And see, the way that I rationalize this in my mind, the way that I understand this in my own mind, God had to strip me from all of those things. I was overdraft fees, 600 some dollar in overdraft fees. I remember one month. It was insane. I couldn't even see my way through this tunnel. I didn't think I was ever going to come away from it, come through it. The reason I'm telling you this is because I know some of you are watching this right now and you're in that situation. You know what your life is, you know what you're capable of, and you know what God is capable of doing in your life, but you're not sure if he's going to do it for you. He can do it for you, niece. You got to set your intention. You got to be steadfast. You have to surrender. You have to let go. You have to do everything that you can in your power physically. And then once you get to the end of what you can do, you have to let it go and allow God, let the universe, however you call him, you have to let that go. You have to surrender it. But the way that I rationalize that in my mind is, if he had given me all of this 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when I really wanted it, when I thought I could handle it, I wouldn't have appreciated it. And I would have thought all of this, the way that you all support me, the way that you all come on this live and watch my videos and comment and send a little cash up on a Friday, niece, you ain't got to do that. But see, if God had given me all of this 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I would have thought it was all about me. I wouldn't have realized that it was through God. Amen. Amen. You don't hear me. You don't hear me. See, I would have thought that gay like me conversation, the way that you all say, oh my God, I love the way that those of you that are on my Patreon, you saw the sizzle reel of gay like me conversations. Those of you that are on my other social media, you saw the behind the scenes. But my people on Patreon, you saw the sizzle reel and you all were like, oh my God, this is so professional. And I would have thought all of that was me. See, here's the thing. And I make this plain in Book of Jewels. This is not a sales pitch. This is really me speaking to you from my heart. In Book of Jewels, I talk about how when, oh, I lost my train of thought. Look at that. Okay, I'll just go another way. But my point in saying all of this, I got a little caught up in the moment. I started thinking a little too fast. And then I'm thinking about where I'm trying to go because I got to get over here and get this man's money for this inspection. Yes, I inspected the other house that I don't want, but I had to know that I didn't want it. So that was money kind of down the drain, but not really down the drain. But anyway, the reason why I'm sharing all of this stuff with you is because I just want you to know that you're not alone in your journey. I felt the same way. I felt alone. I felt like nobody really understood. I had friends who truly, truly loved me who said, Craig, you need to go and get a job. Like, I know you try, and Words Never Spoken was out. I'm telling you, Words Never Spoken was out. But it wasn't, the book wasn't selling, niece. I couldn't sustain myself. And I had friends that really loved me who were like, it may be time to go and get you a job. And you'll have people in your life who truly care about you and who truly love you. But I knew what I knew. I knew that if I just kept going, that God would open up a door and he would make a way. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. And I remember sitting over at 227. That's my condo that I'm renting. For those of you who may be new, I remember sitting at 227 and I had 100 books in my storage closet. And I couldn't figure out how I was going to pay my bills. And I remember thinking, like, because the books were 20, I only had like Words Never Spoken and Nothing for Certain or something like that. I didn't have many books. I didn't have 4 books at the time. And I remember sitting over there thinking, like, looking at bills, trying to figure out how I was going to pay the shit. I was driving for Lyft and Uber and doing all that other kind of stuff, trying to make ends meet. And I'll never forget, I remember sitting there like, damn, I have 100 books in this closet. That's $2,000. That could pay my bills that are sitting right here that are stressing me out if I could just figure it out. But what I'm telling you is, instead of trying to connect the dots, You just have to set your intention. And when things don't go the way that you plan for them to go, you just have to adjust. You have to adjust and say, you know what? Right now, I'm not able to take care of myself and I have to live with friends or move back home with family. But don't allow people to judge you on your today. You hear what I'm saying? Because there were people who looked down at me and was like, oh my God, he's still trying to. I had friends that, and they would say it in jest. Like, and I'm not talking about the friends who really love me. There were people who I counted as friends who would be like, you still peddling them books? That's what they would say. You still peddling them books? People will make light of your dreams, not really knowing that they could crush your dreams. And so I didn't allow that to get to me. And I'm not going to tell you that it didn't hurt, because there were times that it hurt. There were definitely times that it hurt. And I didn't think that there were people who really understood what I was going through. And this is why today I do the Honest Hour. That was Carlton's idea. But the reason I agreed to do it was because I remember being, and I'm still a small business, but I remember starting out and being a small business that didn't even have any resources to maintain my shit. And there were people who could have helped me that didn't help me. There were people that could have helped me that did not help me. And so the reason I do the Honest Hour, again, it was Carlton's idea, but the reason, my perspective for why it was a good idea to do it, and even though there were some of you, not all of you, but a couple of the negative people who just be watching just to be hating. But most of you understand why we were doing the Honest Hour. But some of you were like, oh, you only doing that because you want free stuff. Niece, I didn't have to do the Honest Hour to get free stuff. My people who love me were sending me stuff to the P.O. box anyway. You don't hear me though. They were sending me stuff anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Like my girl Tara Meyer, she sent us a stainless steel waffle iron. You understand what I'm saying? People were already sending me stuff. I agreed to do the Honest Hour because I remember what it was like wanting exposure and needing help, and nobody would help me. People who knew me and people who didn't know me, they wouldn't help me. And so I figured, okay, you're growing your platform. This is an opportunity for you to help somebody small, but they do good business, right? And so that's why I wanted to do it. That's the reason why I talked to you guys about paid for your say. It's not a scam. I knew there were times that I was struggling and I just needed an extra $200, $500. And if I knew about a paid for your say, which I did, because that's how I met Kimberly, because I was working for this home auction company. And and they started cutting my damn hours. And she said, oh, she didn't have paid for your say at the time. Kim didn't have paid for your say, but she was doing these market research things. And so she would send me like the links to do the little screeners and stuff like that. And I would get in. But sometimes I didn't always get in because I didn't know how to answer the questions, right? And then she started helping me answer the questions. And that's how I said to her, that's what provoked me to say to her, girl, you need to start a business. And several years later, now she has paidforyoursay.com. But at any rate, that's how that happened. But I know some of you, you're still looking at things like, oh, child, I ain't doing it. That's some direct marketing. That's some old marketing scheme. That's some pyramid. It's not, niece. I wouldn't have you risk your money for something like that. I really wouldn't. But bottom line is, I say all of this to say, it's okay to be discouraged, but don't let yourself stay there longer than 3 days. Now, that was my rule. Now, you may have a rule where you say 2 days, or you may give yourself 4 or 5 days. But my thing was, there were times that I got into a slump and I'd be upset and I'd be down and slightly depressed, and I'd be like, oh my God, it's never going to happen. And I would feel defeated. But I never allowed myself to sit in that feeling, that space for longer than 3 days. On that third day, like they say, Jesus rose. Oh, I got up. I shook that shit off and I went back at it. But here's what I want you to understand. The energy that you put into the universe, it has to come back. So if you out here grinding on your business, or you going back to school, or whatever it is that you're doing, I truly believe that every bit of energy that you put into your dream, it has to come back. So every time you send an email, every time you make a phone call to move yourself forward, every single time you do an event, even if it's unsuccessful, I'm here to tell you, there were times that I was doing signings and there were 5 people there, niece. There were 5 people there. I would be so dejected. I would be so upset. And I told you guys the story before. I went to Philadelphia. I've never been back to Philadelphia since then because I'm slightly scarred. But anyway, I went to Philadelphia for a signing. And this was like my fourth signing. I did one, a couple in Atlanta. I did DC and Baltimore. And I had like 50, 60 people at those signings. And when I say I got over there to Philadelphia, girl, and it was like it was 8 people, and 4 of the people came with me. Do you hear what I'm telling you? So in other words, there were 4 people there, and I didn't really sell any books. And I had driven. I was living in Maryland. This is when I had moved back home. I was living in Maryland, so I drove the hour and change up to Philly, and I just didn't make any money. But I shared this story with you guys before. What came out of that was me having an amazing conversation with a young LGBTQ boy who had been put out of his home by his mom because she found that he was gay. So I was able to pour into him and to feed. So that was, I understand now that was why that signing was so small, because he needed my attention and I needed that interaction with him. But in the moment, niece, I was upset. I was like, oh my God. And my mother pulled me to the side. She said, you're not upset, are you? She was the one who helped me realize it. She said, but you had that conversation with that young guy. If you had 50 people here like you had at those other signings, you would have never been able to have that kind of talk with him. He needed that. It's not always about you, niece. It ain't always about you. That was the assignment that day. Come on, Corinne. Come on, somebody. That was the assignment that day. It wasn't about me. But a lot of this is about you separating your ego, getting your ego out of the way. That's what I was going to say a moment ago when I forgot my train of thought. I truly believe that God elevates you to the next level when you truly understand that it's not just about your preparedness, because you may be talented. Your business may be viable right now. Your business may not need any work. You may just need exposure, but you may need the work. Your soul still needs to be cleansed. You may be selfish a little bit. God is still working on you, your personality, because going to the next level is just not about your business being prepared. And this is what I talk about in Book of Jewels as well. It's not just about the business. It's not just about your service. Sometimes your personality needs some healing. And God, the universe ain't moving you to the next level until you get yourself right. You understand what I'm saying? He had to clear me up. I don't think I would be using my social media to support charities and things like that if I hadn't been pruned. If I hadn't been pruned, I'm more magnanimous. I'm more generous with this platform. If I hadn't gone through all of the things that I went through, I wouldn't be using this platform for service. For service. I don't just come on here and just collect stuff. I use it to try to help your businesses. I use it to try to support Black-owned businesses that I don't know. I use it to try to support charities. It's about a sense of compassion. Yes, Cherie. And so I'm saying all of this to say, God will open up the doors for whatever your dreams are, whether it's to have kids, to have children, to have kids, to have that relationship that you want, to have that business that you want, whatever, to buy that house. And what I'm saying to you is I have people in my life who are like, oh my God, look at the way things are just opening up for you now. Oh my God. But it felt like an eternity when I was going through it. It felt like an eternity when I was living at home. It felt like an eternity when I didn't have a car. It felt like an eternity when I was on food stamps. It felt like an eternity when I never had money for shit. It felt like an eternity. But when I look back, it really wasn't that long. It really wasn't. And I really wasn't suffering and struggling the way it felt like I was in the moment. I wouldn't change anything about what I went through because I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be so thoughtful with how I use this social media thing, right? So again, when I share things with you guys, please know that and I've said this many, many times before, I'm never going to promote something. Well, damn. I'm never going to promote something that I don't believe in, whether it's paid for your say or whether it's the Goalie Gummies. I've told you guys before, I've been approached by supplement companies, because you guys know I work out. And so there are like supplement companies that have reached out to me, like protein powders and stuff that I won't promote because, first of all, they got chemicals and shit in it. Y'all know I don't eat that shit or drink. And they got dairy and they got milk and all this other shit. I don't do that. So why am I trying to promote it to y'all? I don't promote anything to you guys that I don't use. And anybody that you saw on this platform that I started to feel a little shaky and shifty about, they were removed. I'm not going to share anything with you guys that I don't trust or believe in. I'm not. And so, anyway, just to sum this up, because I got to go ahead and get this man's money for this home inspection. I'm closing on the house that I really wanted. And so I want to share this real quick. Let me say this real quick. The house was listed at one price. And I said, ooh. So I offered what I offered. And so they had 2 days to counter offer. And so they came back and they counter offered. And then I countered offered again. And so I was telling Derek J, he said, you love to push. He said, I don't understand why you always got to push. I said, listen, you have not because you ask not. And the other thing is, a closed mouth don't get fed. Amen. Closed mouth don't get fed. And sometimes as people of color or marginalized communities, whether it's women, LGBTQ people, whatever, black people, sometimes we're afraid to speak up. And sometimes we're afraid to ask for what we want. And I asked for what I wanted. And they said, okay. So they agreed, right? But I say all this to say, Derek and even my realtor said, you may lose this house. And you know what I said to them? I said, I don't live in that space of fear anymore. I don't live in that space of fear. So you got to train yourself. It's a muscle. Faith is a muscle. Just like you go to the gym and work out, faith is a muscle too. You got to work out your faith. You got to exercise your faith just like you exercise your body. And I said to Derek, and I said to my realtor, I said, well, let me explain something to you. I said, if I lose the house, it wasn't meant for me to be there. I don't live in that kind of fear. I don't. And when I tell you that, them people came back and said, okay, we can do that. Trust your instincts, niece. Trust your instincts. I don't give a damn what it's about. Your instincts could be telling you to move your shit cross country to California, because that's what happened to me. And nobody in my life understood why I was moving to California. I didn't even understand. But when I got there, 3 months after, I started writing Words Never Spoken. My life changed ever since then. It wasn't easy right away. I just told you. I still had cars repossessed. I was still living with friends. I was driving other people's cars. I still had shit to do. But I felt the shift. I felt the shift coming. I felt the shift coming, niece. And so you got to trust yourself. And you have to close off the voices in the world so you can hear the voice of God. Stop taking everybody else's advice. Sometimes sit still with shit. Get still, niece. Get still. Turn off everything. Turn off the outside noise so that you can hear the voice of God, so you can hear your own instincts. I can't tell you how many people told me, don't move to LA. That's not the right move. But I had to get still, niece. I got still, and my spirit said, no, you need to be in LA. I ignored it the first time. I share this story in Words Never Spoken. Go on over to CraigTheWriterStewart.com and order that book if you don't, and Book of Jewels if you don't have it. But something said, no, this is for you, and you got to go. And I left. If I had not moved to LA, I don't think I would have ever written a book, and I wouldn't know any of you. You got to trust your instincts, niece. I don't care if it's about a relationship. You don't need tangible proof. You don't have to have tangible proof to walk away from a relationship. Your instincts alone are enough. And a lot of times we wait for tangible proof in a relationship because when people ask, well, why did you and such and such break up? You want to be able to say, oh, because I went through his phone and I saw such and such, or I saw lipstick on his car. You don't need tangible proof, niece. Your instincts alone are enough. That could be about leaving a job. You don't have to wait for them people to give you a pink slip. You don't have to wait for them people to downsize you. Your instincts alone are, I got to get up out of here. I got to go. Put your notice in, niece. Don't be afraid. Trust your instincts. When you're moving in purpose, now it's important to separate ego from intuition. I talk about that in Book of Jewels. Because see, your ego will have you thinking that you're supposed to do one thing. It's the difference between ego and intuition. Those are two different things. You need to pay attention to intuition. Okay? Trust your instincts. Every time when I think about things that happen in my life, whether it was a car accident or whatever, those things happen because I didn't trust my instincts. I shared this story on this live before too. I was driving home one day and my instincts told me to go the way that I always go. But something said, no, go this way. And damn if I didn't get into a car accident. But if I had trusted my instincts and gone the way that I typically would go, I wouldn't have had that. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yes. Your success, yes, Constance, your success is on the other side of your sacrifice. That's what I said. Your success is on the other. So all of the sacrifice that I made, going back home, living with friends, sleeping on couches and shit, that was my sacrifice. The success was on the other side of that. So when people say, "Oh my God, you just you don't you just lay around all day, you don't do," no, I'm always working. Trust. But I had already sowed the seeds before y'all met me. I was going to city. Listen, there were times I would fly to cities for a signing, and all I had was $50, $75 to my name after I bought my plane ticket, and I'm clear. I'm hundreds of miles away from home with $75 to my name, hoping that I will sell some books, and only to get in there and there's 10 people. That was my sacrifice. And I don't take any of that for granted. I don't. And when I say on here that I'm grateful for you guys and I'm thankful for you guys, even some of you now have been asking me, even in here in this live just now, Powerful said, don't forget to let us know when you set up your gift registry for your housewarming. I don't take that for granted. Y'all don't have to do that for me. I don't take that for granted. But you know why I believe all of this stuff happens? And this is a teachable lesson. This is a teachable moment. The reason why I think that kind of stuff happens, like the way that some of you come on my Cash App on Fridays and send me something on Cash App. I don't give a damn if it's $2. I appreciate it because you don't have to do that. And the fact that some of you say, "Oh my God, we set up your housewarming registry. Let us know." I believe that it's just the universe sending back to me some of what I put out. It's the law of reciprocity. Whatever you put out, it has to come back. You put out evil, it's coming back to you. If you gossiping and backbiting and doing all that other stuff, it's coming back. You've put that energy into the world, it has to come back to you. So when you put good into the world, it has to come back to you as well. It may not come from the person that you blessed or the person that you hurt, but it's coming back. It is coming back. So again, set your intentions. I told you guys in January that I started my grateful journal. I wrote 3 things in my grateful journal yesterday. A handful of years ago, niece, I couldn't even figure out how I was going to pay rent, let alone buy a house. To buy a house, I'm going to tell you the last story, and I said I was about to get out of here, but I'm going to tell this last story. When I moved into 227, the condo that I'm renting, I was very reluctant, very apprehensive to even move in there because my money was funny. It was really shifty. Again, Words Never Spoken was out. Book of Jewels was out. So much to say. I mean, I'm sorry. Words Never Spoken was out. One Thing for Certain, Two Things for Sure was out. And I think So Much to Say, a book of quotes was out. I think. I'm not sure. I think it may have been out. I don't think it was out because I think I published. No, it wasn't out. I published that when I moved into 227 at some point. But anyway, I had 2 books out. And I was so afraid to move in. I was so afraid to sign in because, excuse me, there's almost like a PTSD when you suffered financially, right? Like I told you, I'd had cars repossessed and all that kind of shit. So I was afraid to make money moves, right? So a friend of mine and I had talked about renting 227 together. We had talked about getting a place together. And I was looking forward to doing that because I would have only had to come up with half of the rent, right? So that was safe. That felt safer to me. Well, at the midnight hour, when it was time to move in, when it was almost time to sign the paperwork and stuff, he switched up on me. He told me he wasn't going to move in. He was going to do something else. He was going to live with somebody. He was going to rent with somebody else. I was almost paralyzed. because I was afraid to move in. I was almost not about to do it. And I was afraid to do it. And I was so afraid that I was not going to be able to come up with the rent. And I'm going to share this with you. When I first moved into 227, this was like 5 years ago, the rent was $895. And I don't know what city y'all in, but $895 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo with the kind of space that I have. I know you guys can't really see the space, but I have a huge condo. And I was still afraid of $895. I was afraid to try to even, I just didn't know if I was going to be able to come up with that kind of money every month. And remember, I was still printing books on my own, and which I still am, but the money wasn't coming. I didn't know y'all yet. Y'all wasn't buying books and stuff yet. Y'all wasn't sending nothing to the Cash App. So I was afraid. And so my instinct said, you can do it. You got this. And so I started driving for Lyft and Uber. I was working for the home auction company where I met Kim, who's paid for your say. I started working there. I started doing some of the market research surveys to get a little extra money in here and there to pay my bills. And then I started substitute teaching, right? And when I tell you, it was a chance that I took. It was a chance that I took on myself. I bet on myself. And so when I tell you guys that I appreciate the support, even if it's just you watching these videos, that's support too. I appreciate the support because I know how different my life was. I know how different my life was. And then that same friend who switched up on me, who was supposed to rent the place with me, guess who ended up giving him a room to rent? He ended up needing a place to stay. And instead of me, this is where it goes back to what I said to you guys a moment ago about the energy that you put into the world. Now, I could have sent him that same energy, be like, no, you can't come stay with me. I could have been nasty, but I chose to be different. I chose to do something different. And what I said was, yeah, you can come and stay. How long do you need to stay? Because you definitely got to set them boundaries because you can't stay here forever. How long did you need to be here? Let's get this, because communication is our partner. Clarity is our friend. So I said, now how long? So we set that up and I let him come and stay. I also believe that that's why things have started to happen. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not, now be clear. Be clear. You can't do things with the expectation of getting something in return. You can't do things with the expectation of I did things from my heart. I did it from my heart. So you can't do it with expectation. It doesn't work like that, niece. You have to do it with a pure heart. And this is also why, this is the last thing I'm saying, I'm about to get out of here. This is also why I believe those of, let me say this first, then I'm gonna come back to that. I've gotten so many beautiful messages from some of you that sent your stuff in for the Honest Hour. LaBon Bath and Body, she's in here. I got your shit right in here, niece. You know, my little hand oil and body oils and stuff, so we use to get out of the shower. She sent me a message. And then also, remember the little girl's book, who the little children's book that we shared the other day on the Honest Hour? Her mom emailed me and said, I started getting all of these orders through the website, and I was just like, what is happening? And she said, I went online and I saw you and Carlton during the Honest Hour. So she sent this beautiful message saying, thank you so much. And, you know, so I really honestly believe that for those of you that have supported me, whether it's through the Cash App or through Gay Like Me, you supported the Gay Like Me Conversations Cash App when we were trying to film that project. I understand that we did that together. We all did that together. You all helped me and Derek achieve that. I believe that that's why many of you have been blessed, because you've given to us selflessly. You don't know us. You don't have to do that. So I just need you to know that I appreciate you, and I definitely don't take it for granted. Hey, LaDonna Baxton. Everybody say hey to Donna Baxton. She said this is her first live, and she is in tears. Hey, LaDonna Baxton. But anyway, so I just want you guys to know that I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. I won't be on live tonight at 9. Because Carlton and I are going out with the girls. Those of you that are on my Patreon, you know, we got together at Angela's house for, you know, so we all going out to dinner tonight. So I won't be live tonight. So that's why I wanted to come on here as well. All right. So listen, you guys have an amazing day. I hope something sets in your spirit. It may not hit you today. It may hit you tomorrow. It may hit you next week. It may hit you a month from now, 3 months from now. But I hope I planted a seed, because you really can have the life that you want, the relationship that you want, the business or the career that you want. You can have it all. You really can have it all. You have to reprogram what you've been taught to believe. You can have it all. I didn't say perfect. I didn't say you wouldn't have struggle, but you can have it all. All right. Bye, y'all. Have an amazing weekend and be safe.